And now, I shall resurrect Slifer the Sky Dragon!
Oh man, he just brought back an Egyptian god!
Slifer's attack points are determined by the number of cards in my hand. And since I'm holding 4, he now has 4,000 points!
Hey guys, this is Slifer Maniac. Guys, we're gonna be doing finally our deck profile from our character of the week. And this is none other than the deck profile of Bonez. Bonez and the zombie monsters, of course, were preoccupied with, of course, mostly, I would rather say, almost just zombie type monsters. It is a character we already know since the Duelist Kingdom times, as he was one of the henchmen supporting Bandit Keith to get into the finals, more or less involuntarily, of course, as Bandit Keith did rob the ships, yes. Rather not starships, but starships, to enter the Duelist Kingdom castle, where then finally Pegasus and the other finalists were meeting them to, of course, then combat against each other to decide who can finally then go against the ultimate goal, dueling himself against Pegasus. But Bonz was dismissed of his starship, so he was invited again in the Battle City arc from none other than Seto Kaiba. He did get very far again to lose his final duel to get to the finals of the Battle City arc, namely against none other than Yami Bakura. He was doing pretty well at the start, but then ultimately lost against Yami Bakura, who had a very crafty and sinister plan to bring away his enemies, as of course all of his obstacles, with a very cunning strategy. So Bonz' deck, to say it a little bit presumably, is consisting out of 2 core strategies, but I did set in place 3, with one being a counter strategy to one of the other strategies. One of his main strategies is to bring out some of his main monster cards to make possible to set in motion his fusion. Main monster card is a fusion monster card, which is the Great Mammoth of Goldfine. And the other strategy is, of course, to first of all to let his all of the zombie monsters to be destroyed, and then finally to bring him back from the graveyard to set into scene his Pumpkin, the Ghost, the King of Ghosts. But as in the TCG, Pumpkin works with Castle of the Dark Illusions. We don't need that strategy to set in place, but we can still do it, as it is one of his significant strategies and tactics. And of course, also choose the option and matter to bring about a counter strategy, as he brings all of his zombie monsters into the graveyard. Maybe he can't get all of them out, so I have another strategy which works with the graveyard as well. Not bring them back, but to work with the graveyard or with the monsters being in the graveyard. So yeah, that's my counter strategy. But I'm talking a lot, so let's just tap into it and not talk a lot before it. Like I said, of course, zombies were his main monsters, which he did love. So I put, first of all, some monster cards in there which he didn't necessarily have, but we might assume he might have such cards also in his deck, because, like I said, it's not enough. I think we just know like 3, 4, 5, or 6 monster cards, which is not enough for a whole deck to set in place. So first of all, I put in there the zombie shark. 3 stars, dark attribute, a zombie type monster. Of course, 1100 attack, 700 defense. Of course, all the vanillas we have to keep in mind and take into account that, of course, in the Battle City arc, there are still many decks which include these normal monster cards. So yeah, I had to consider it done. Magical Ghost, dark attribute, 4 stars, of course, in zombie normal type monster, 1300 attack and 1400 defense. Not bad, that bad of stats. Then a card which he played out, I think it might have been in the Duelist Kingdom arc, as a 2 of Clown Zombie, which has 2 stars, dark attribute, zombie normal type monster with 1350 attack and 0 defense, which was inevitably his downfall against Joey Wheeler in the Duelist Kingdom arc, as he changed the defense and the attack stats from the Clown Zombie and then attacked it, I think, with his Red Eyes Black Dragon, if I'm not been mistaken. But yeah, we still have the adoption that he might play this out in this arc as well. Then a card which is really one of the other cards which he played out in the Duelist Kingdom arc, which is Crass Clown, another of those clowns. 4 stars, dark attribute, but this one is a fiend type monster. I think it's the only card which is not in zombie type monster like the others. 1350 attack like a zombie clown zombie as well, but 1400 defense, and it's of course an infect monster which has the ability to, if this is the defense position card, change to attack position, then target one monster in your opponent controls return that target to the hand. So of course it has a removing effect. Maybe if a monster of your opponent has far more stronger attack stats and you have this in defense position, and you can throw it back and relieve your board and your field to clean it up a little bit, and then maybe go back to the attack, make it for you possible to go back to the offensive. Then another card which he played out was, no, not this one, sorry, Armored Zombie. I put it in there as a 2 of. One of those cards which I think he played also out in the Battle City arc, with 3 stars, dark attribute, zombie normal type monster, 1500 attack and 0 defense, against with 0 defense, which many zombie type monsters have, and which ultimately, like I already told you guys, led to his downfall, because with shield and sword, Joey Wheeler used this very disadvantage against Bonez zombie type monsters. Then we go on, yet now a very, very important main core key strategy, namely Zombie Dragon as a 3 of, 3 stars, dark attribute, 1600 attack and zombie normal type monster, and of course 0 defense, along with Snake Hair, 4 stars, dark attribute, zombie normal type monster with 1500 attack and 1200 defense. You basically want to bring these two together to fuse them into becoming your Great Mammoth of Goldfine. I would have played this one as a 3-off, but as I just pulled it, as you might see my opening on the channel, from the arena display from the Arena of Lost Souls, and then I also pulled, like before, in some of the random pack openings, I had, I think, about 20 boosters of Arena of Lost Souls additionally to that, but I never pulled this one, often just 2 times, all in all, together gathered. So as a result of that, I put just as a 2-off in there. I would rather recommend to you guys you put it as a 3-off, as like I said, a very basic strategy to this deck. Yeah. Then further, we'll go further. Just let me change the camera position a little bit. There we go, to make it a little bit place for the upcoming zombie type monsters, which will be coming now very soon. I think these were mostly his zombie type monsters that we saw, except for, of course, Pumpkin, but I will come to that later. Then a card which fits, I think, to this deck, which is Zombie Mammoth. 4 stars, Earth attribute with zombie type monster, of course. Well, 1900 attack with 0 defense with 1900 attack, very strong attack stats at least. But again, the disadvantage was 0 defense, which is very significant for the zombie type monsters. And its effect is, if you destroy this card, if you have no other monster types and no other zombie type monsters in your graveyard, this card is being destroyed, and you have to take the damage to the possessor of this card equal to its original attack stat. So it's a great disadvantage as well, which forces you kind of to have zombie monsters in your graveyard. So like I said, I have this counter strategy as well as a plan B, to have monster cards, zombie monster cards in your graveyard, to, if you cannot summon them all, then you at least have some of them in your, as a back strategy, you might say, or as a second strategy. Then I put in there, also coming along with the strategy, the Chaos Necromancer, dark attribute, 1 stars and fiend type monster again, with 0 attack and 0 defense. The attack from this monster, it's this effect, is equal to the amount of monster cards in your graveyard per 300. So if you have, like, I don't know, 3, then 300, then maybe 900 attack, and so on and so on. So, like, this is the counter strategy that I have. I have 2 strategies. The one is, of course, like I said, bring all the zombie type monsters, which I easily destroyed, as I don't have that high of an attack stats, back to your field. And the other one is to have still some of them left in your graveyard, and to make these cards stay on the field and make them boost their power stats. Then, of course, I have also Shadow Ghoul, which also fits to that graveyard monster possessing strategy, with 5 stars, dark attribute, zombie type monster, of course, 1600 attack and 1300 defense. It gets, for each of your monster type, for monsters in your graveyard, 100 attack points. So it's already possesses 1600, but with 1 tribute, of course, 5 stars, then you can, per monster card, you get 100 attack. So it can be, if you play it like in the middle of the game, then it might make more sense, or maybe at the end maybe perhaps become very strong. So it makes all the sense in the world as well. Then I put in there a card which, like I said, is very important, as it brings your Pumpkin into play, which is, of course, is a 3-off the Castle of the Dark Illusions, which significantly was a panic card with this very weird stats with 4 stars, of course, Dark Attribute, and it's also a fiend type monster with a flip effect. Before we come to that, we have his attack stats with 920 attack and defense 1930, which is a very solid defense. So if you play it like as in defense mode, then you have relatively more successful. And of course, we want to have this card urgently on the field in order to bring your Pumpkin, King of the Ghosts, on the field and put up a strategy. This card also has an effect, which works like that. If it's a flip effect, increase the attack and the defense stats of all face-up zombie type monsters into per 200 points. As long as this card remains face up on the field, increase in each of your standby phases of the player which controls this card, the attack and defense stats of all zombie type monsters per 200 points. This effect as a 4-turn effect and is then stopped, granted to a halt. So it's very, very strong effect. It's not also only working for Pumpkin King of Ghosts, but also for all supportive for all other zombie type monsters. So we have to have it as a 3-off, you see, for many reasons. And of course, I then have the Pumpkin, the King of Ghosts, 6 stars, Dark Attribute, zombie type monster with 1200 attack and 2000 defense. And its effect works like that. If Castle of Dark Illusion is face up on the field, increase the attack and defense of this card by 100 points. As long as this Castle of Dark Illusion remains on face up on the field, the attack and defense of this card continues to increase by 100 points in each of your standby phases. This effect continues until your 4th turn after the card is activated. So we get the boost from the effect of Castle of Dark Illusions along with the effect of Pumpkin of King of the Ghosts. So we have to have this as a 3-off and this at least as a 1-off. You might put it as a 2-off as well if you want to make sure that it gets more effectively and intensely. Then I put in there 2 other cards which I think were in one of the Bonez games decks. One of the very famous Dokuro Rider, which is a ritual zombie type monster with Dark Attribute, 6 stars, 1900 attack, 1850 defense, and of course you have to summon it along with the spell ritual card of Doku Reborn of the Doku Rider. And last but not least, I have the strongest zombie card to boost this deck a little bit with 8 stars, Dark Attribute, zombie type effect. With the attack stats of 2800 attack and 3000 defense, so a very strong monster right there. And the effect goes like that. If this card is discarded to the graveyard due to a card effect, then it's special summoned. So you have also this anti-discard effect as a second tactic. So this is it. This is my monster lineup for Bonez. Like I said, of course you could have done this much stronger, but yeah, it would be then not so appropriate for the Battle City arc anymore. But still, it's good playable to go format, I think. So you might, of course, put one of the snake hairs as a 3-off. I would recommend, and maybe you take one armored zombie out, for example. Now this is my monster lineup, like I said. Now we're coming to spell cards, which I'm very excited to present to you. Of course, some of the spell cards which he took into battle were I have in here, and some of them I had to add because, yeah, I don't like to make 2 and 3 of all things which are not necessary, but yeah, so I have to had some additions would make sense. He did play, I think it was in the Duelist Kingdom, or maybe it was even in the Battle City arc. It stopped defense. Of course, it sets any monster from the opponent from defense to attack position. Then I have a Wasteland, which was the field spell card in the Duelist Kingdom arc, which increases the attack stats of all dinosaur, zombie, and rock type monsters by 200 attack and 200 defense. Dispel, of course, a card which can destroy a spell card. If it's not open face up, then you open it. If it's a set card, and if it's a spell card, it's destroyed. If not, it's returned to its original position. Then, which is very central to this deck strategy, is of course, and 3 off from polymerization. As I already said, we want to very dearly and urgently bring about his Mammoth of Goldfine. Then, as a stalling engine, we have the Nightmare of the Steel Cage, which of course strings also played out, which is working like Swords of Revealing Light just for 2 rounds. Your opponent cannot attack. Then, which was very important, of course, as we want to bring his zombies back from the graveyard to the field, which was one of his key strategies. I have 1 Monster Reborn as a staple, 1 Premature Burial, which he had in his deck. Also in Shallow Grave, which I might have also. As a 2-off, I didn't find the 3rd copy, otherwise I would have put this one as a 3-off. Book of Life, which of course special summons 1 zombie type monster, especially from the graveyard to the field. I think all of these cards except Book of Life he played out or had in his deck, in his hand, or possessed in one of the arcs. 10 for drawing power. I personally put in there the Curtain of Darkness. You can reveal a dark type monster on your hand and then put it on the graveyard, and then you can draw another card. So maybe if you don't have a good monster card, you can do it, put it in the graveyard, and then of course it's this graveyard effect, and you have more monsters on the graveyard, and then draw another card. It's a continuous spell card, so you can do it all over again. And then I know how it's called in English, I think Nightmare Swords or something like that. But it's working very similar to I think not Swords of Revealing Light, but yes, Swords of Revealing Light kind of, because all the defense position monsters, defense position monsters of your opponent are flipped face up. No, it's the other way around. They are they're face up. They're put into face down defense position. And as long as this card remains face up on the field, all monsters of the opponent's side of the field cannot change their bad positions, except with a card effect. And after your second standby phase, this card is destroyed. But it's also a good effect in order to change maybe the tides for you, in order to put your opponent's attack position board into defense position, and they cannot change their bad position. So you can nail them sort of. Then further on, of course, Reborn of the Dokuro Rider, the ritual spell card in order to summon your Dokuro Rider. Violet Crystal, an equip spell card which works like a power boost for the attack and defense stats of the zombie type monster, which increases its attack and defense stats by 300 attack and 300 defense. Then I have Vengeful Bog Spirit, which has a good stalling effect as a continuous spell card, which prohibits a monster which you just summoned recently, a normal flip or special summoned, prevents it from attacking directly. It has to wait for one turn. So if your the opponent, for example, has a good attack board, then you can stall him and preventing him from attacking directly. Dark Hole as a good board breaker, as well as Mystical Space Typhoon in order to destroy one spell or trap card. Foolish Burial to bring a monster which you want to have in the graveyard, one from the deck to the graveyard, and then maybe bring it on the field. And last but not least, Cheerful Coffin, which brings up to three monster cards from your hand to the graveyard. As again, this graveyard effect. And then maybe you can bring it back onto field if you want, or maybe you just put it in the graveyard to boost your Shadow Ghoul, or Mammoth, Zombie Mammoth, or which was the third one? Of course, Chaos Summoner. Now, this was my spell card board. I hope you guys like this one. And it's very consistent. You can do a lot of things with this. Like I said, Book of Life I would play as a 3 of, as a recommendation from me to you personally. And otherwise, you have, of course, these cards like Dark Hole, which you can break a board, or a Mystical Space Typhoon to destroy one of your spell of trap cards of your opponent in order to make your plays or relieve your plays or put into effect. Now we're coming to his trap cards. Last but not least, very key card into his deck is Call of the Haunted. I put it in there as a 3 of. Of course, it has the ability to some continuous trap card to especially summon your opponent's, not your opponent's, your own monster cards back onto the field. Yeah, and I have it also brought it as from the Lost Art promo. This was originally my card of the week, but I just forgot about it, so I show it to you like that. Call of the Haunted is a continuous trap card, and the Last Art promo, which is the difference between these two. Of course, you can look at very in confined quarters. You have crosses onto the graveyards, the cemetery. You just have normal stones, and you have these crosses. So, as a religious symbol, of course. So, as a 3 of Call of the Haunted to bring about back your monster cards in face-up attack position, and if this card is destroyed, then the monster is destroyed. If the monster is destroyed, this card is destroyed. Then I have Cemetery Bomb, which works with as a burn damage effect for each of your monster cards, or I think for each card even. Yeah, for each card on your graveyard, your opponent gets 100. 100 points on damage. So if you, I don't know, have like 10 cards, you get 1,000 damage, or maybe if you have 20, then it's 2,000. So it's very, very cunning. As a staple, I have a Trap Hole in there. And last but not least, Skull Invitation, which originally works like an prevention from bringing your cards into graveyard, because you suffer 300 life points of damage each time one or more cards are brought into the graveyard, but also your opponent as well. So it's also a burn damage effect for him or her. So we have this burn damage effect combination in here. These cards were all the cards he played out originally from the trap cards, Call of the Haunted and Skull Invitation, and these were added from me. And I think that's all about it's enough. Now this is it, guys. This is my Bonez character deck profile for the Build a City arc. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Oh, before I forget, I have of course my fusion, the fusion deck. He has a fusion deck. I have 3 of. I have the mammoth, great mammoth of Goldfine, with I already forgot about this one. 6 stars, dark attribute, zombie fusion with fusion from Snakehair and zombie dragon with 2,200 attack and 1,800 defense. One of his main monster key cards into his deck, besides of course Pumpkin. And bring this fusion into play. Yeah, I think it's a very proper to have it as 3 of, as we have 3 polymerizations. So it's, if it's destroyed one time, then you have another 2 copies in your fusion deck. Now this is it. This is my Bonez character deck profile for the Battle City arc. I hope you guys liked and enjoyed it. Yeah. Hit a like, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for more content of this. Like this, as we are going up the ranks in the Battle City era, and now I'm presenting today or tomorrow the character of this week, because Bonez was the character of last week, but I didn't achieve to make the character deck profile until now. Yeah, and like I always saying, good day, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever you might witness this very video. This is for me, for you. You're a Maniac. Bye.